Hey, what's up everyone? It's Joe from Gadgetry Tech, and today I'm going to talk about the Rig 800 Pro HX. This is a $150 wireless gaming headset. The HX is meant for Xbox and PC. The HS edition is the same. It's $150 as well, and that one's designed for PlayStation and PC. I'm going to be straight up and tell you right off the bat, the HX version works perfectly fine on PlayStation. It sounds great on PlayStation. The mic works fine. There's no weird volume issues. I can still adjust volume. Everything works great. There's a switch on the dongle to go from Xbox to PC mode. So I just wanted to say that right off the bat in case some people tune off later in the review or miss this. The Xbox version works on all three platforms, no problem whatsoever. Now this headset was not sent to me for review. I purchased this. I do that because I'm trying to cover every headset I can within reason and maintain an unbiased channel to give every model a fair shot whenever I can. So it was not sent to me for review. I will have links in the description below though. So if you decide at the end of this review you want to purchase one, that'll help support the channel. Just generic affiliate link for Amazon. Otherwise, purchase it wherever you want. I just want to provide good unbiased coverage for you to help you decide what to buy. So I mentioned the price. I mentioned the whole cross-platform thing. The Rig 800 Pro HX, might just call it the 800 for now. It's a unique headset at this price range, and this market is crazy crowded. I know because I cover a lot of these headsets in this price range. It's unique because it has a dock. It does cross-platform, but it doesn't have Bluetooth. It's using micro USB, which is a bit dated now. Really good ear pads, the suspension head strap. So they're things that I like and dislike, and I think when you, at the end of the review, you should hopefully understand, I guess, what parts are more important to you or not. And I'll recommend based off platform. So I want to start with some basic specs. They rate it at a 24-hour battery life, 30-foot range from the transmitter. They use 40mm drivers. I want to do a few things on that. So I have a new test. I'm going to call it the toilet test. Basically, can you go through one or two walls and at least 25 to 30 feet away from the base, wherever the transmitter is? Could you make it that far before the headset cuts out? Some people like to walk around a room or go through, one room next door and then the headset goes dead. Virtuoso XT is an example of that. It works great in the same room. As soon as you go through walls, forget it. The range of this is insane. Now, some of this may be affected by your network or your neighbor's network, or if you're living in an apartment, there's a lot of networks. That all impacts wireless performance. Not always, but it can. And this went like over 70 feet through about 3 walls because it was kind of like diagonal down my hallway. But I went over 70 feet away and not one dropout. So the range is great. So it passes the toilet test. Now, what's really cool about comfort, I want to talk about build quality and comfort. And the way I can describe the Rig 800 as far as like the feel, the initial impression you get when you unbox it. I don't want to say this as a negative way if you own this car, or a negative way if you own this headset. I'm not meaning for this to be offensive. It's kind of like a Corolla with leather. And what I mean by that is Corolla is a good car. Corolla with leather is a good car with leather seats, which is usually viewed as a more luxurious feature. However, you could still tell the Corolla is a compact, somewhat of an economy car. It doesn't feel like a Lexus, for example, which is made by the same company, so I'll stay within the same brand. You can tell it's a little bit of a cheaper headset. It's extremely lightweight, which lends to an incredible comfort. It feels like cheaper plastic. There's a lot of plastic, gratuitous use of it, but it doesn't squeak or fall apart. I guess kind of like a Corolla. That part was unplanned. And then the headband, so as far as the adjustment goes, I like the suspension head strap. I loved it on the Novas and other headsets I reviewed that have used it. It's just so comfortable. It helps evenly distribute weight. You get no hot spots. And they use this really nice sport fabric material, so you shouldn't sweat. If you have a bald head, this is a little bit rougher. It's not a soft, super soft pad, so you may feel that might become annoying. If you have a lot of hair or you wear a hat, you shouldn't notice it. It may not be an issue, but I just want to point that out. What's weird about this one is how you adjust the height. You get adjustments. So I'm on the middle setting, and I'll show you what that means in a moment. But you can see the headband kind of go up to the top part of the strap here, or I guess the strap to the headband. I don't have to adjust the height of the headset. It just fits me. These ear cups are amazing. I'll talk about comfort in a sec. But to adjust it, you actually pop the entire, see already that sounded kind of weird. The entire cup, the whole left side comes off. the head strap, but then it's still hung on by a wire. I don't know how well that'll hold up over time. This is an interesting way of doing things. It shouldn't break necessarily. I've kind of like torture tested it a little bit, and it seems pretty solid. But if you need it to be bigger, you get one step up, and now it's a larger headset. Obviously, you'd want to match it so you get even seal. It doesn't sound or feel great, but once it was on, it stayed on for me. So, you know, take that for what you will. I think this is part of where they kept some of the costs down. As far as the ear pad goes, I want to show you the baffle. So it has like this honeycomb. Look at that. See, I guess that's an easier way to show it. You can see the driver here. This looks a lot like other drivers that I've reviewed around this price range, like the whole clear cone with the ribs on the cone itself. That helps with bass performance and reducing distortion. So, you know, it's a pretty typical driver build. Now, I do want to talk about these pads because the pads are great. These are not budget feeling pads. I'm going to try to do this whole pad thing while I talk about pads. So let's see how this goes. Actually got it on pretty quick. So they use, like, it's springy. It's not like a heavy memory foam. Again, it's a very light headset, but it has the sport fabric where it matters, where it touches your ear, leatherette outside to help lock in some of that sound, and leatherette inside, or PLU. It is incredibly comfortable. This is like up there for probably one of the best in comfort at $150. It's more comfortable than the Corsair HS80. It's more comfortable than the Turtle Beach Stealth line, both the 600 and 700. And I'd say it's comparable to the Nova 7 in terms of comfort. Those two are very, very similar. Some may prefer one over the other. It just depends on your head shape and where you like the preference. Comfort is great. This is soft and supple enough, and they're large enough where you can wear glasses with these. So the comfort on glasses is great too. And there's a lot of depth to this. The overall, so let's just do the dimensions real quick. They're actually big. Hey, look, I can pop this off again. These don't swivel with this design. So it does bend a little. It will fit your head, but the only way I can show you this top-down view is by actually popping it off. So let us measure the height. They're actually pretty large. So let's look at, 60 millimeters. So it's like 5 or 10 millimeters larger than the Astro 850. And then let's go by the width. And let's just see, go to edge here. And the width is 38 millimeters before it starts to touch. So a little bit more narrow, but they are deep and they're tall. So depending on your ear shape, you may like or dislike that. Honestly, these pads are excellent. I don't see most people complaining about the pad comfort. I'm gonna try to get my little compression test on here without ruining this headset. Let's see if I can pull this off. So bear with me. I haven't tried it like this before with this design. Yeah, this isn't going to go as smoothly as I had hoped, but you could see on the pad compression, it does buckle inward a little bit. So luckily the clamp force isn't too tight. A lot of pad designs, I've seen them go either symmetrical or out only, you know, like either even or just out. This one does crumple on the inside a little. So you will feel it possibly, depending on your ear, kind of tuck in behind once you have it on. Overall, it won't be too bad because it's not starting that thick. So, interesting build quality. It feels like a cheaper headset, but it still holds up pretty well. I don't like this little adjustment thing, but it's just a unique way of doing it. Overall, what's important is comfort. I think, obviously sound quality, but in terms of pure comfort, it's great. Now, when you look at the design and layout, again, this, you could tell it's a little bit cheaper. You know, it's not like this machine metal or anything like that, which at 150, you start getting that now. But this top wheel is your game to chat mix if you're using it on Xbox. If you're on PlayStation, this game to chat mix function does not work. PlayStation doesn't allow it. All the way up for game, all the way down for chat, and in the middle, there's a soft catch to do a 50-50 split. This is fairly responsive. It's a very minimal delay. But I like this approach because it's very easy to fade off the game and hear your friends and fade it back up if you don't want to hear your friends. Speed of adjustment is a super important thing, especially if you're playing games like Call of Duty where your scene changes quite dramatically. Press and hold for your power button. While it's on, you tap it and it gives you a battery status. You get like high, medium, low. Then you have the master volume, which is a never-ending wheel. This works when you're on Xbox and PlayStation. It'll adjust the volume of the headset. When it's on Windows, it actually adjusts the Windows volume as well. So I love that feature. This microphone button is not a mic mute. This is actually a flip to mute headset, which is my favorite way to mute a headset because it's fast. You don't have to fumble around looking for it. This changes your microphone side tone in several stages. Off is an option, so you won't hear anything. And then you can go all the way to a boosted side tone where you hear your voice very loudly. And honestly, I don't like the side tone too much on this. It's not that it's delayed. I don't like the sound it introduces in the headset. It's a very sensitive mic when it comes to wind and plosives. And there's a little bit of a distortion or artifact into your voice, so it can be distracting. So I usually game with it on the lowest setting for side tone, just so I can feel like I hear something, but it's not interfering with my music or games too much. The charge button or charge port. There's a micro USB on the headset, which is cool because you can unplug it from the base and plug in and charge your headset. So you can charge it while you're gaming. That's why they do that. Micro USB is a slow charge, so it will take a while to charge, like a long while. Don't plan on a rapid charge like the new USB stuff, but it is what it is. At least it's there and you can charge it. There's no charge bypass. So if you have the single cable and you have this hooked up and you want to play while you charge, just use a different cable, or there's some really slick stuff you can do at the base station. But first, let's plug it in and show you PC or police mode. Did it instantly go to that? Okay. So what I'm going to do is try this, and we're going to plug it in. It should do like this blue and red flashy light. Look at that. Kind of weird, and it's fairly bright, so when I turn on my Xbox, I was like, holy cow, what's going on? It was just the initialization when it first got power. I want to talk about this. This is perhaps the coolest thing about the rig outside of comfort and sound. This dongle is detachable from the base, so you can plug this into your console right up front, whether it's your PlayStation or Xbox or even your PC. Even though it's a bit of a chunky transmitter, it works well, so I don't really care. Then you can have this dock plugged in elsewhere with the included cable just for charging. So if you have a nice spot that's tucked out of the way for your headset because you want your certain area to look good, you can keep that separate and then still plug this into the console. This transmitter works so well that it could even work no problem behind the console. Just don't go as far away. You probably won't get 60, 70 feet like I did behind it. But I love that. That's a really cool party trick. The thing I don't like is gloss black. Why on earth is this still a thing? This base station is like 2 weeks old, and I've cleaned it twice, and I don't use it all the time, and it already looks pretty rough. Like it's crazy how fast piano black can look nasty. It shows dust, and it shows every single fingerprint. I wish they went with the flat ABS plastic on the front, but that's a personal preference. I don't like, and it doesn't even match the transmitter. The transmitter is this like really slick, textured material. Then you have piano black. So it's kind of weird, but you know, I just want to point out everything I notice.
All right, now I'm talking on the Rig 800 Pro HX microphone. The microphone's okay. This is not class leading. This is not the worst I've heard, but it's certainly a little below average. You know, something's got to give at this price range. That's common with wireless headsets from 100 to 200. You're always going to find pros and cons. I think this still sounds better than what you get on the Razer Barracuda and the Astro A30, but it's not as good as the Nova or the Stealth 700s or even the HyperX. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. It does pick up plosives, so if you play with a lot of fan noise, the way the microphone is designed, it picks up wind, and if it's too close to your mouth, you're hearing that popping sound and wind coming out of your mouth if you're a heavy breather. I did mention the whole mic monitoring and side tone thing. Even when you're not speaking, there's a little bit of a noise floor when the mic is on. Flip to mute will turn that off, of course, or you can turn off side tone, but I tend to leave it on a little bit, otherwise I speak too loud, and I don't want to wake up the kids at night. So I'm not a huge fan of the mic. It is what it is. Take that for what you will. And now let's talk about the sound.
Now the sound is actually a lot of fun to listen to. Look, for a gaming headset, I mentioned this in the beginning, but I didn't talk about sound yet. I think the most important things, aside from it working, you want it to always connect and you turn it on, it gives you some form of function, right? But you need to be able to wear it for a long time so comfort's there. And the games or whatever you're playing need to sound fun and either immersive or keep you competitive if you're playing FPS. There's all these little areas, obviously, where people have their own preferences. But where the rig shines at 150 is it gets amazing gaming sound. Like not perfect for music, but it's tuned really well for gaming. And the comfort was great. So what I mean by that is this doesn't have like the super deep rumbly bass that you get on like the Sennheiser EPOS gaming headset stuff, like the GSPs or the H6 Pros. The bass doesn't go as deep. It's more of a thumpy bass than a rumble bass. It does carry a little bit into the mid, so it's a little bit bass heavy in the mid bass region. The mids are a little bit recessed, and then you kind of, it's not a smooth frequency response. I'll show you the measurements, but look, just going by the fun factor, I was able to hear footsteps totally fine in Call of Duty without even touching EQ yet. I just played and go. I actually like this significantly more than the Astro A50 for twice the price. If I were just plugging in a headset and playing on Xbox, this was both more comfortable and sounded better to me. It was way more fun, and you still get a dock. So I don't see the point of honestly considering the A50 at this price range. This just is better in almost every way, maybe except the microphone, and I get it's even better in battery life. So there's a lot of stuff going for this, but this did a great job of balancing the whole clarity and stuff for footsteps and awareness. But then when you played, single player games, story games, racing games, where you want more of the immersion side and things are a little slower paced, the sound profile was great for that. It had a really nice, fun soundstage to it, not super open or anything or too sharp sounding, but mixed with the Dolby Atmos, it was a lot of fun. I didn't mention that yet. This comes with the Dolby Atmos license. It's kind of like a critical thing for this because you can tune it after the fact using Dolby Atmos on PC and Xbox. There's no DAC you can customize, so PlayStation users, they kind of get shafted a little bit because Sony doesn't give you any option to EQ, and the headset doesn't either. But for Xbox and PC, this headset is incredible for your money. Honestly, like the only headset that probably has a more of a fun factor for sound under 200 or at 200 or less is the Stealth 700 Gen 2 Max. This is more fun and dynamic to listen to than even the Novus. I just love the way it was to play. For music, because you have these inconsistencies with frequency response, it didn't sound as natural. You know, when you have good headphones or headsets and you know how a certain song should sound, I tend to stick to the same content for my reviews and testing because I know what they sound like. And you can tell this wasn't as natural because of those things or inconsistencies in frequency response. It alters it a little bit. If it's still going to sound good, especially if you're coming up from another gaming headset that won't perform to this level, but it's not like, compared to a $300, Penrose, for example, or, the EPOS lineup that sounds a little bit better. It's just the nature of the headset. But again, for gaming where it's most important, it's so much fun. I have no problem playing competitively on this. I didn't feel like I had to switch and when is my review over? I have to go back. Totally fine to use every single day. I just want to show you the frequency response compared to the Harman curve, and you can kind of see what I was talking about. There's a big hump in the bass right about the 45-50 hertz region. Then it tapers down and it dips a lot at the 250 hertz region. Kind of comes back up in the lower or upper mid-range, low treble. Like as you start approaching there, it's not terrible. It's a little bit shouty at 3000 hertz. It dips again from 4 to 6, and then it, typical gamer profile of a headset. It's definitely a V shape. Now I did do a Dolby Atmos tune. I'll show you that in a second. But the end result of doing my Atmos tune, because the way the Atmos app works, it lets you tune 2K and 4K. Well, 2K is pretty much on target. 4K is a dip. But if you increase it, it makes the 3K higher as well. And 3K was already a little bit too high for me. So you couldn't really do much from an EQ perspective to totally fix or make it sound closer to what I typically prefer. But I did fix the mid-range to get it to be more present, and it kept up with the rest of the mix, and it sounded more natural to me. So here is a picture of the Dolby Atmos tune, and take that for what you will. I think I'll put lines on the screen to help you get a reference. There's no lines in the Atmos app, but there's basically a little bit of boost at 30 hertz, a little bit of a dip at 64, and then I start picking it up at the 250 and 500 hertz range. But the lines will help you make your final adjustments, so feel free to pause here. And again, that Dolby license is included with the Rig 800, so it's super cool that they give you that. It doesn't need EQ because the EQ change is slight, but if you do it, it'll just kind of refine the sound just a little bit and get a little bit more out of the headset. Now, as far as how the Rig stacks up to the competitors in this price range, there's some big contenders in my opinion. If you're only getting this for PlayStation or PC, and the microphone issues I mentioned become a problem, I would seriously consider the Corsair HS80. I don't think the HS80 has the same fun sound as this. So if that's the most important thing and you want the dynamic, really engaging sound, the Rig 800 is better at that. The HS80 seems to have a more solid build quality. The microphone is significantly better, and it feels like a more premium product in your hand, even though it's a less expensive headset. It has worse battery life, and it doesn't have a dock. So, factor those in as well. Then you step up to the Nova 7X, which is 180, and the Stealth 700 Gen 2 Max, which is 200. Both of those can go on sale sometimes, as does this, but you want to factor that in depending on when you're buying it. I think as far as like the fun sound goes, the Stealth 700 has the edge overall, very closely followed by the Rig. So $50 less, you get very good sound quality, a very fun sound quality. The Stealth's going to give you the mobile app to adjust the headset sound. You can still buy Atmos, but a little bit better battery life, USB-C, so it rapid charges. It offers Bluetooth. The clamp force is significantly higher, and it's a little bit more buggy to use. Some people had some issues where you had to do firmware updates. So it's not perfect. I'd say that's probably the closest competitor to me. The Nova 7 is more of a, it's very reliable. It's very comfortable. So this is closer to the Stealth on sound, but this is closer to the Nova 7 on comfort. Nova 7 is a lot less dynamic and punchy sounding. It sounds a little bit more flat and unexciting, but it feels great as well in hand. I had no issues with the transmitter. And the microphone's a little better too. I think if you're trying to balance comfort and sound quality, this balances both of those better than the 700 and the Nova, and it's less money. But it has less battery life. It charges slowly because it's micro USB, and the microphone is the worst of the three. So I don't want to say that one is 100% better than the other, but I think this does an amazing job of balancing some of the more important things people buy gaming headsets for. The one bug I have sometimes, if I plug this into a device while the headset is not on the dock and it's off, for some reason it plays this like full volume blast on the microphone signal. So if you plug this into an Xbox, I was in party chat and my friends were texting me like crazy saying something's wrong on my Xbox. It was like blowing their eardrums out. And I recorded that when I did my microphone test earlier. I did it then too. So that happens once in a while. As soon as you turn the headset on, it goes away immediately, or just unplug the transmitter and plug it back in and it goes away. A weird bug, but it did happen to me. That dock, by the way, as you could tell, super solid. A little bit of a magnet in the base, and it has like a nice satisfying click to it, so it feels good. I like the Rig 800. I almost said Nova. It's a good headset. I think for people just want to buy a headset and have fun and not care about all this other stuff like the EQ, Bluetooth, and customizing or messing with it. You just want to plug in a headset and go play and have fun. You're going to get incredible sound and comfort. So that about wraps up the review. I hope you found it helpful. Again, there's no perfect headset for everybody, but I think the Rig is kind of a surprise hit at this price range because like I said, I would take this over the Astro A50. And it's half the price. It was more comfortable for me. I like the sound quality better, and it didn't break on me. My Astro's like already falling apart. So it's a great headset. How it stacks up to the competitors is up to you and what you think is more important feature-wise, but I can see why this is such a popular headset and why so many people like it. I had one in the past, and I remember it being just as fun and comfortable. So the Rig has been very consistent with its performance, and I imagine most people will like it, knowing what you're getting out of it. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching the review. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment. I'll do my best. Channel's growing a lot, but I can't thank you all enough for the support. I do have a Discord channel now, so take a look in the description for that. We have a growing community of audio and gaming people, which is awesome. So with that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.